Okay, so now I'm going to show you the maker zipper. So this maker zipper you buy per meter, and it's very, very reasonable. And these little ends, you actually take them completely off. Put it on your machine so you do not lose it because it's black. Now, when you put your zippers on, you put them all on at the same time, but because I've been teaching Bernina Club this week, I've had to finish 3 so that I can show you how to finish the bag. So you have sewn on your handles and you're going to sew on all your zips, and they're all done the same way. So you take off the end of your maker zipper, you open your zipper out. I'll just put this bit over here. You put the right side of your zipper facing down, and you have it extended out longer and further than where you need it. Now, where we have clipped down to our seam allowance, what we're going to do is we're going to put a pin where you stop, and it's exactly where you've cut your fabric. So that is your end point. So I'm just going to put a pin in there and have a look, and that's where I'm stopping. I'm not going to sew past that point. Then I just use my quilt clips and I clip this in, and you'll notice on my machine, even though I'm using a 7 series, I've got a small zip foot from the smaller machines. I prefer this zip foot, and the reason why I prefer it is I can get closer to my zip. The zip foot for the big machines is very big and I can't get as close as I want to get, so I use the little zip foot a lot. I really like it. So now I'm going to lay my zip foot down. Make sure you've put your needle position to the left, and I'm just going to sew this down just to hold it. It's going to be top stitched as well. You don't need to worry about your edges of your fabric fraying because they're going to be turned under and top stitched. So just I push my fingers up against my zip. And I'm sewing down here. And I'm going all the way to that point. I'm going to reverse, and I'm going to cut my thread. I leave that now. I get my other piece of zipper and I lay it right side down, overlap it there, and I put some quilt clips on to hold it. And this time I'm going to move that zipper out of the road, and I'm going to sew this down to that mark as well. So I'll pop a pin in there so I know where I'm going to. And I'll start from this end, and they're lovely lightweight zippers. They're not hard to maneuver around because they're just nylon. Come all the way down to the end and reverse and cut. Now this is where you need to use your brains. So I'm just going to make sure I've clipped my threads. I've clipped my threads, and my zipper, this is the wrong side of my zipper now facing down like that. Okay, so what I do is I get my zipper end, turn it upside down, have it so the curved part is facing down, put one side of my zipper slider on, and it's really good when they're different lengths so you can have a look where it's going to fit in, and then put the other side of it down. And the easiest way to do this is to turn that over, lay it down on the table, this is why you want them longer, and just wriggle it and maneuver it in. Just give it a little wriggle and push it in until the zipper end gets on. And then go like that so you can see it. Now this is really important. You need to push that tail through to the back. So I'm going to show you again. It's on like this. You're going to push that tail through to the back, and then it's going to pull down and we are pulling it down here to make sure that it zips up. Need a friend actually. I'll just pull it down. So pull that down, and you do need to maneuver it a little bit. It's a little bit tricky, but once you get it going, you'll be fine. It's just getting that first little bit done, and I hopefully haven't caught it. Now, one moment, let me just go back. Come back to this side and have a look what I've done. And put the bits together, hold it. I've done something. Oh no, there we go, we're all good. And just make sure you can zip it up and then zip it back down, and then it can't go any further because you've put it through your little marking. Now open this out, lay it all flat, and then what you do is you just turn this under like that, sitting it all flat exactly like that. And I'm going to pin on here and top stitch this down. So you just turn it under, pin this, make sure it's all sitting nice and flat. Sit this down flat. Oh, hang on, let's just make sure we've got it flat. Make sure everything is flat. Sit flat. There we are, that's better. So just manoeuvre it around till it's sitting nice and flat, that flat there, and pin it. Okay, that goes under here and pin it. Now I'm going to have to stop for a second because I've got a persistent phone caller and I need to see if it's an emergency. So I will be back in a minute because it's rung like 4 times, so I better check what it is. So I will just stop there, and then I'm going to top stitch these down. And I'll use the zip foot as well. Okay, so I'm now ready, sit that flat, ready to sew that together. So I'll see you in a minute. Okay, well, problem is now solved and we'll get back to our sewing. So I have pinned my inside of my bag, which is the parka nylon, onto the outside of my bag, which is drill, and I've turned my zip under, and now I'm just going to top stitch here and here. Now these 4 corners are the only part where you are joining your zip to your outer of your bag. So it's very good because it doesn't have a lot of sewing. It's nice and easy. So now I'm going to use the same foot as I was using with my needle position to the left, and I am just going to top stitch it down. So I've got it on 3.5 length, and now I'm just going to sew down, running my foot along the edge of my zip. And come all the way down to the bottom, move the end of the zip out of the road, and you're going to sew along the end of the zip, and this is why you didn't need to finish it off, because it doesn't matter, because you're sewing it in when you do this part. Come along to here, and the best part of this is the whole bag then just gets put together with bias binding, and so it's very, very, very quick and easy. It's very nice. you don't have to worry about finishing off the end of your zips because they're going to be sewn in with bias binding. So you can cut that off. Let's use the bigger scissors, not those ones, like that. Now I'm going to put on white thread to show you how to do the bias because I need you to be able to see it. So I'm just going to put white thread on to sew the bias binding on so you get the idea of how to do it. It'll be much easier for you to see. Now you can use any foot to do the bias binding because you actually need to have your needle position in the centre, because I'll just use this little foot so you can see it. Because how bias binding works is, I'm going to get it in a colour so you can see it. When you buy bias binding, that was clever, somebody sellotape that on. When you buy bias binding, it has got two little folds, and usually one fold is narrower than the other fold, and you open out and you stitch down the groove of that fold. Then when you fold your bias binding over, the second fold folds over so it's nice and neat on both sides. So when you open it out, you sew down one fold down here, and then when you fold it over, this goes over and you top stitch it down. So there's no hand stitching, it's all done by machine. So I am sewing bias binding on here, and I'm up to here. So now the whole thing turns over, and I'm sewing white thread so you can see it, and there is a fold line on my black bias that I'm following. So if I do white thread, you can see clearly where I'm sewing. And I'm sewing on that groove. So it's just a lovely little fold line. Do not iron it out. You want to follow that fold line, and you can see clearly with the white thread where I am sewing. And obviously bias binding means that it is biased, so it will follow around your curves and fold perfectly when you fold it over. Now you can get different widths in bias. This one is a 12 mil. The one I use most is probably a 10 mil, but this just happened to be the size that was black, and that's what I had, so that's what I'm using. So I'm just doing a long stitch on there to show you, and you can hopefully see that nice and clearly. Make sure you don't sew your handles in, get them out of the road. I normally pin them. Sew straight across your zip because it's lovely and soft. They're only nylon teeth, and you can see where you're going and where it's nice and flat here. And I'll stop there so I can then turn it over and top stitch, and I will not top stitch it in white. Now what happens is you just cut off any pieces of zip that are poking out like that. And when I'm doing it, I just simply turn over my, cut my threads. I simply turn over my bias like that, and I put my quilt clips on. So I'll fold over my bias. This is why it doesn't matter, I've got white in there because I'm going to be doing the next one in black. And I now use my edge stitch foot number 10. So roll this over, clip it, roll it over. Oh, run out of clips, pin if you have to. It's much easier with clips. And this is where I had started. So now what I do is I put on my number 10 edge stitch foot and I top stitch around my whole bag and it's finished. Oh, not with that colour thread. With my black thread. And you can do a fancy stitch, you can do a blanket stitch, but I'm just going to do a simple straight stitch. And I can put my jewel feet on. There. And there, put my jewel feet on, and I'll just start back here and show you a little bit. And all you do is you run your bar along the edge of your binding and move your needle position to the right till you're covering it. 1, 2, I think I'll do 3 clicks to the right. And then I'll lengthen it out because I'm top stitching. I'll go into 3 length. And now all I need to do is watch where my bar is going and top stitch my binding on, and it will be perfectly even on the right and on the wrong side. Okay. So make sure you're covering the row of stitching you've previously done. You would not normally have a bit of white thread showing under there, but I just wanted you to really see what I was doing. And the edge stitch foot just makes everything perfect. So it's a really cool bag. It's really different, and I think they are quite fun. And this one probably will end up with Lego inside it, and it'll be a Lego play mat because you can open it up, play with the Lego, and then zip the bag up and all the Lego will stay in the bag instead of all over the floor. Will that happen? Who knows? It might not. You never know. But it's a really, really cool bag and a really neat way of making a play mat as well, or a picnic bag. So I previously had done a little piece, so that just shows you I'm just joining that back up, and then I cut it. So when I've sewn around my whole bag, what I've got is I've got my inside lining, I've got my outside bag, I've got my handles on, I've got my binding on, and all that happens now is I zip up my zips. I won't zip these ones all the way up because I will pull the zipper end off because I haven't finished doing my binding. We'll just go to there. And my last one, they're quite fun. And I will just put my binding inside my bag because I have to finish it. And here's my handles, 1 and 2. It's actually a very cool bag. And there will be the bag when it's finished. So they're quite fun, like they're quite a fun bag. And like I said, these ones have got no wadding in them or anything. They are just simply a bag to be useful, to be able to either put your picnic stuff in there, open them out for a picnic bag. But my idea is my tricky idea that I'm thinking might work wonders is when this bag is finished, it will have the wadding on there. It will have the lovely inserts in here, like this, in all 4 corners. Making work for myself, but I think it'll be cute. And then when it's opened up, it will have this gorgeous little, I'll put it around the way it'll work for you, this gorgeous little picture. It'll be bound all around it. And when you open it up, you've got a nice little changing mat or play mat. And when it folds up, it'll be a bag. So I'm just sort of thinking about changing it up and making a really nice little baby's bag. So this one will be folded up, but when it gets folded up, it'll look like that. And it'll have these lovely little handles on here. So it's just another idea. You can play around with it, but it's a little bit of fun. So that one will be finished one day with my lovely little inserts in it. So yeah, it's just a fun little bag. Now, the next thing I would like to show you is just something I saw on the internet. And it's actually a laundry bag for you to be able to put your washing in here without having to carry a basket out to this outside. And so the idea of it is it has a crossover strap, so it's going to stay on your back, and then when you put your washing in, you can simply get your washing out and hang it up without having to carry a basket. And I saw this on the internet and I thought it was actually a brilliant idea, and I've also put little studs on here for you to be able to have more washing in there, because my mum is coming up 90 and she's now unable to carry a basket outside, but she said she could put on one of these and be able to put out a few bits of washing at a time without having to worry about unbalancing. So it's just a really simple idea, and it is 1.5 meters of fabric. And you measure down 80 centimetres from the top, 10 centimetre strips along the side become your straps, and you curve the end and everything just gets bias binding on it. So I've shown you how to do the bias. When you go to do the pocket, it's very, very simple. You bias across the pocket, you pin down one side, you pin down the other side, you bias all the way around, and then you fold this and make a little tuck. Fold this and make a little tuck on both sides, and then bias across the bottom. So it's the simplest apron you will ever make, but I think it's quite sensible. So it's just a fun idea that I saw. So if you'll have the notes anyway, because I've given them to you, and there is nothing hard about it at all. It's just a bit of bias binding. I have done one thing different than what I saw, because it's not a pattern you can buy, but I've added Velcro to where it joins onto the apron, because I tried it on my sister and she couldn't get it off because I realised that she had a sore arm. And I thought, oh, I need to think about things like that. So you can just simply put Velcro on the side, and it's going to work because you're not putting a lot of weight on you're not going to have a lot of weight in there, and it will hold really well. So if you want to, you can make these longer as well, but that is all you need. So it's a really simple idea, but a clever idea. So that is all in your notes. And now you know how to do bias binding. You can make one of those laundry aprons. And the last thing I've sent you on your notes are these wonderful, wonderful little bags. Now these are a toiletry bag, and they're in 3 sizes. And it's a free pattern from Tilda Fabrics. So this is the large, this is the medium, and this one is the small. So in my next video, I will be showing you how to make one of these bags. I have used, instead of quilting the bag, I quilted this one, but on this one I've used our beautiful laminated fabric. I have lined it with Parker nylon, and I have used soft and stable for the middle of my bag of this one, and it's made a great little bag. This one is the same, and I didn't have enough fabric, so I've pieced my fabric together, and I have pieced my lining together like that because it was my scraps, and I've even pieced my soft and stable together. And this one I have used low loft, and this one I've quilted through the whole 3 layers. So I'm going to show you my method of doing the lining like this in my next video, and I think you'll really enjoy it because these are a really useful pouch. And like I said, you can use your scraps up, and they make a wonderful toilet bag. So that is what I think most of the family will be getting for Christmas, because I've been making one in every class. You can use your heavy duty zippers, or you can use your maker zipper by the meter to make these. So I will be doing this in my next video, and I will look forward to teaching you that. So in the meantime, have a nice weekend, and I will be doing a video for you soon.